Constitution of Kenya. I grew up, I was born, raised and did my early schooling in Narok County. A typical village girl growing up. I went to primary school in Narok South constituency in a school called Olentutu Arizona Primary School. That's where I completed my primary education. I came as a top girl in Narok district then, and got admitted to the Kenya High School. Upon completing my prior secondary school education, I moved on to study law at the University of Nairobi. I also went through the Kenya School of Law and got admitted to the bar as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya in 2004. I went on to further my studies. In 2009, I went to the University of Washington in Seattle, United States of America. I studied Sustainable International Development as a Master in Law. I've also worked in various capacities during my inception of my work life. I have served as a UN volunteer attached to the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs then. I have also worked with the Kituo cha Sheria in various capacities. I have served as a gender and law expert working for a USAID program which focused on conservation issues, women and land rights. Over the years, I developed my interest in really focusing on matters affecting women, marginalized groups and communities. As a young lawyer, I never set up a private law firm. I thought the best way to reach the underprivileged people, and especially from marginalized groups, and that puts women at the center of it, the issue of land and property rights. I worked with the various institutions, like I've said, and non-governmental organizations, offering pro bono legal services as a land law and gender expert. And that is where I found my satisfaction, because you will realize that for most the marginalized groups, people who need legal services to enforce their rights, most of them are poor, and by and large our justice system is fairly expensive for an ordinary Kenyan. And therefore I thought that if I set up a law firm, I would not be able to reach these people. They could not afford me. The other thing is that I worked mostly within the pastoralist communities, mostly those that I could speak their language. Again, you will realize that in our legal and justice system, the language there is almost intimidating and complicated for most people to actually comprehend and be able to situate their rights therein. And I thought, going down to the level of the community, I called myself a community lawyer, where I would actually be able to, interact with the people I worked for, and get to speak to them in the language they understand, and they speak to me in the language where they are comfortable, to be able to support and offer them the kind of legal aid they needed. What makes working with groups, community groups, and largely before I joined politics, is really being able to see the law and the justice system working for people who would otherwise never be able to support themselves to reach a courtroom and get justice. That to me gave me a lot of satisfaction. Ordinarily, somebody might think that once you go through legal training, the best thing to do is to delve into your private business, make a lot of money. But I found a lot of satisfaction in offering myself, offering pro bono services, and bringing myself down to the level where I could break down the law to be understood and have the law actually working for these communities. One of the things I did when I was working in a USAID project, we called it the Justice Project. I was based in Nakuru then, and we did a lot of interaction with the communities there. It was around the time when we had just gotten our new constitution, and there was a lot of excitement, particularly about women land rights. And from the Maasai community, where I come from, it was very exciting. I remember back then in 2010 or thereabout, we had some land adjudication processes going on in my village where I come from. And I decided to test the constitution, to exercise my rights. I was not married then. And I went back to my village and said, hey, I want my portion of my land. As my father's daughter, he has his portion. My brothers have their portion. Can I have mine? And the uproar that came with that demand was just unimaginable. I had a nephew who was 1 year old. His name was on the list for land allocation. But for me, a lawyer, a woman from this same village with my nephew, my name could not be put on the list. And yet the Constitution gives me the right to be able also to enjoy my land rights. And I did not pursue it. I knew I could maybe go to court and fight it out. But it just hit me so hard. Like, if for me, a learned woman from the Maasai community cannot enforce my land rights given to me by the Constitution of Kenya, you can imagine those other women, most of them illiterate, extremely poor, have no clue about their rights. So that gave me the drive to keep doing what I was doing, trying to break down the law and working with the various actors to see how does this law become a reality for an ordinary woman out there. So we had this project called the Justice Project, where through the support of USAID, we brought together village elders, we brought together various court user associations. I remember I was working in Nakuru then, and we had some very good judges we were working with, and magistrates, and various court users, the chiefs and the administrators. And we were just saying, look, here is a constitution. What I was doing is to translate. We actually translated the constitution to the village elders down there and said, these are the rights that are here. Can we make them a reality? Can we also have women join the rest of Kenyans to enjoy their rights without it raising conflicts? Because you know that land issues also bring a lot of conflicts right from the household level. So we had community conversations about women enjoying their rights. And